Polarity is what fuels the desire in the relationship.
What if pleasure was the key to unlocking everything you've ever wanted? Welcome to I'll Have What She's Having, the podcast where your pleasure is your power and you're allowed to want it all. I'm your host, Kris Hall, a sexual empowerment coach, and I'm here to help you unleash your inner fire. Every other week, you'll get expert advice, practical tools, and juicy inspiration to help you feel more confident, turned on, and fully in your power. Because you deserve the kind of love life that makes people say, I'll have what she's having. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to I'll Have What She's Having, the podcast that's all about reclaiming your desire, igniting your relationships, and living a life so good it turns heads. Today's episode is so amazing. I am joined by the radiant Nicola Navon. She is a relationship, communication, and leadership coach and the host of the Divine Union podcast. She knows how to turn relationship ruts into full-blown passion. And that's what we're talking about today. How to create a relationship that's full of passion, spiciness, and that grows with you. She shares with us her 4 biggest keys to creating this passion and polarity. So first, we do get into the definition of polarity, so keep listening for more. But basically, it's the fuel of the passion. If passion was the flame, polarity is the alcohol that you would dump on it to make it flare up and go crazy. Polarity is what makes opposites attract and what brings us together to create that spark that we all desire. Polarity is the heart of keeping things spicy, interesting, alive, and passionate. We're diving into the secrets of how to actually create this long-lasting passion and polarity in partnership, and how to reignite that spark without burning the whole thing down. Our guest, Nicola, is such a passionate leader in this field. She is calm and collected and has done the work to know what works. She specializes in helping couples create deeper connection, stronger passion, and greater fulfillment. With a decade of experience in communication and psychology, Nicola has applied this expertise to help her clients transform their relationships through mentorship, couple work, and group coaching programs. She knows her stuff, and I am so excited to share this conversation with you. Give it a listen and let us know in the comment section what your biggest takeaway was. Hello. Welcome, Nicola. So lovely to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kris. I'm so excited.
Me too. Today we are going to dive into the keys of creating passion and polarity in relationships. It's going to be beautiful. So before we jump in, I'd love for you to introduce yourself. Who are you? How did you come to this work? And let us know a little more.
Yeah, of course. So, my name is Nicola, and I'm a soulful intimacy and passion mentor. And my work is around helping people nurture deep connection and vibrant passion so that they can cultivate a relationship that truly ignites their soul. Because, Kris, nothing enlivens me more. I cannot live this life without feeling passion, without feeling aliveness. And so it's my mission. Hell yes, we only live once, and it's my mission. It's my mission to help people do the same. So in my work, I came to this work because I always wanted, how they say, Kris, that you know your dharma when you're 7. Like when you're 7 years old and you start to have visions or you start to have dreams about things, and that's something that's a sign for you, like this is something you're supposed to do. When I was a kid, and this is a story I only told for the first time yesterday, in an Instagram Live, I had an insight around it. But when I was a kid, I used to dream about these deep states of intimacy, like being in partnership where there's 2 people that support each other, are their biggest allies, their biggest confidants, their greatest lovers, and like what magic we can create in the world when that happens, when 2 forces get together like that. And so I always really wanted deep intimacy in my life. and in my partnerships and the early part of my life before I got into this work, I was never able to cultivate it. I could never understand why I end up with these partners, Kris, that just like couldn't meet me where I'm at. And was in this one relationship that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I was on San Francisco, year into our relationship. It's our anniversary, and something draws me to his phone, my partner at the time. And he's, singing in the bathroom, going to the bathroom. I look at his phone and I see all these messages with all these different women, and he's cheating on me. He's cheating on me for a straight year. Terrible. And, he denied the whole thing. And the truth is, there were red flags that I ignored, you know? And I realized in this process that, like, wow, it made me really take a look at myself, take a look at my past, take a look at the people I was choosing and my patterns and saying, does this actually align to my vision? Like, if I deeply desire intimacy and deeply desire connection and to feel passion, am I choosing people that align to that? And I wasn't. And so it's been this process for me of unwinding my unhealthy attachment patterns and rewiring my attachment patterns, rewiring my ways of being so that I can feel fully empowered in who I am, so that I can then magnetize an equal counterpart who deeply loves themselves and can bring them full selves to the relationship.
What jumps out to me in what you just said is you need to know who you are before you figure out what you're going to attract. And you need to know who you are at your core. Like, it's not about like being alone before you can be in partnership. It's just about deep knowledge. You need to know what you offer to a relationship. You can't just be seeking something, saying, I want this thing from this person, but like, what do you offer? Flip the script. Like, oh, yeah, I love that.
You're speaking my language, Kris. I love what you just said about, yeah, what can you offer to the relationship? Because you nailed it. It's this like, I am also adding value instead of this competition. That's a true collaboration. What I'm hearing you speak to, it's like we are both two people and we are contributing something to this relationship and contributing to our own growth, which then enhances the coupledom.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe you had visions when you were 7, though. I was like, damn, like, why wish I had that kind of foresight? Oh my goodness.
It was like I was imagining it was two people merging into each other in the cosmos.
Yes, absolutely. And so you've said that you have these like 4 keys to creating polarity and passion. And I'm so curious to hear more. Do you want to unlock mind blowing orgasms in just 15 minutes a day? You don't need a partner or a fancy toy. I created the Pleasure Portal, a totally free, guided breathwork experience to connect you with your body, your power, and your pleasure very fast. It's super simple and it teaches you about the 4 pillars of pleasure that drop you into your body and turn you on. Grab it free at krishall.ca/the pleasure portal. Your orgasmic life starts with your breath.
Yes. So I love this topic so much, Kris. And I know you and I both are polarity queens. We know a lot about polarity in this space. So I'm so excited to just riff on this and chat with you on this too. And for those of you who are listening who may not fully understand polarity, to give like a little insight so that you can understand it before we dig into this. The way I speak to polarity, I'm curious, if anything else comes from this for you, Kris, too. The way I speak to it is, for everyone listening, I'd like to think of it like polarity is what creates magnetic attraction. It's what creates spark in relationship. Now, that is it can be created through friction, and it can be created through one person being in their sovereign expression and one person leaning in. And so I like to have it be this dance of, and to make it tangible, that can be as simple as, hey, babe, where do you want to go for dinner tonight? ooh, I really want to go have sushi because I love me some sticky rice, right? It's like someone's inviting me, partner's inviting me into the masculine to assert my desire. And then I step in the masculine and they receive in the feminine while I name, like, yeah, this is what I want. And so polarity is what fuels the desire in the relationship. And it can be created by this dance. So it can even be something like, and curious how this lands for you, Kris. I like to say, let's say my partner leans in and they start massaging my neck. Yeah. So they are now in the masculine, they're giving and receiving. Now, if I instantly return back and start massaging their neck, it deadens the polarity because now we're both in giving mode. We're both in masculine. And so, to understand this concept of polarity, it's like I need to receive and be in my feminine. And then I also need to give. Yeah, I can maybe receive, even if it's receiving for 2 minutes, pause. Now I'm going to give you. Now, partner, if you're conscious about polarity, partner is now going to let themselves receive or force themselves to receive so that we can maintain that sense of friction, polarity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of what you just said was the dance. Because even actually recently, my partner was like, a relationship is like a dance, right? It's constantly this push and pull. And that's like when you're truly electric in a dance with someone, there's a polarity, right? It's quite literally the dance of life is between the masculine and the feminine energies and the way that they engage with one another and the way that they like they give that spiciness. They give that, like the way I would define polarity is, like, that yeah, like, that the giving and the taking, the polarity of that, the stepping in and then the other person allowing, right? Like, the surrender and the the giving, right? Like, those are all polarities. They're all constantly swirling around one another. And without that, you don't get as much electricity, right? Like, that's why introverts and extroverts attract. That's why we get these like differences in partnerships because when you're too similar to someone else, it actually doesn't work. And there's too much like magic lost. There's not enough polarity.
Totally. Yes, yes, when you're too similar, and it's so funny, Chris, because I think about this is well, sometimes what can happen, to couples I see in my work is this dynamic of you get ingrained in the routine, and then you're both in the routine, and then you both have the same, values, and you both do the same things, and you wake up at the same time, and you eat the same things, and in fact, you take pride in it. It's like, yes, we are one, which we are. You are one. And it also can deaden the polarity. So it's being conscious of that and coming back into this is the second key, so I'm gonna just tease it, but it's like coming back into your sovereignty.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Oh,
we're
yes.
keys to that passion and polarity. And so now that we've like explored polarity, what are those 4 keys?
Yeah. So the first one is novelty. And I love novelty because we all crave novelty. I don't care whether you're man, woman, gender, nonconforming individual, novelty is a human need, and that is newness. And so finding ways to bring in novelty into the relationship. So that can even be things like if every night your partner comes home and you cook them a meal, maybe instead one night they come home and you're blasting some music, you got a dance party, and instead you serve them a glass of champagne, and you're like, "Good evening." Yeah, like, finding ways to inject novelty and flavor into the relationship. That can even be things like sometimes people can get in this rut of, like, I'm showing up in the same way, and this is who I am, and how do we allow ourselves to get outside of the box of who we are so I can be naughty one day and I can be nice the next. Yeah, I can be serious one day and I can be playful the next. And giving ourselves spaciousness to allow in that range of our being, of our humanity that we are. And so what I love about that is it always keeps your partner on your toes. It's the enigma. It's the unexpected. You can't read me. You don't always know me. There are always new things you're learning about me.
Yes, and I love that that's one of your keys because sometimes I think I'm the weird one who's like, "Oh, no, but I know I love novelty." Right? Like, it's I feel it sometimes in that, like, energy of, "Oh my god, I just need to run away." Like, I just need to go, like, what if I burned my whole life down and ran away? And I'm so glad that I haven't done that, and that each time I do run away, I do it very, very thoughtfully. But at the same time, like, I sometimes think like, "Oh, is there something wrong with me? Like, why do I always, like, crave this novelty?" But also, I'm very conscious to get it in a way that doesn't blow up my relationships. Doesn't right? Like, we all crave novelty. We need to admit that to ourselves and not let it manifest, not let it get to the point where it's so on the like, the edge of that it needs to express itself that you go and, like, break your agreements with your partnership, right? Which could look like cheating, right? And because that is this thing where all of us crave novelty. It's just part of humanity. So, yeah, I love that you've just kind of included that in. It makes me feel so seen.
Yes, and I love that you're also bringing this up, Chris, because I feel I feel in our society uh, assumption with the word novelty is this cheating, and that's because that's what happens often. And so instead, it's rewiring that as a coupledom. Like, how do we bring in healthy novelty? How do we find ways to spice up the relationship to do things different? Even if like you're saying that runaway, I have masculine energy. I love my freedom. So for me, I also the intimacy can feel too heavy, and so how can we even if it's like, let's meet Saturday let's have maybe you live with your partner and you have a plan to go Saturday night for dinner, but instead it's like, "I'm gonna meet you at the restaurant." Like, "I'm gonna go somewhere else before and I'm gonna meet you at the restaurant." And that element of surprise, like, "Oh, what are they gonna wear? When are they gonna show up? I'm waiting for them. Will I wait or will they be there first?" That creates this excitement, this mystery, this novelty in the partnership.
Mhm.
I love and I also think about, like, the beginning stages of relationship, right? Where there's so much mystery. It's like, what are they thinking? What do they feel about me, right? There's so much to discover about partner, and with this novelty, when we are continuously working on ourselves, you can learn so much about your partner if both parties are really actively working on themselves. And it's like, "Ooh, I read this book yesterday." "What? You're into history? I didn't know that." Right? It fuels that excitement again.
It definitely does. Yeah. And just acknowledging it. Even I love that once you're conscious of this kind of need, you can just express it for what it is, right? You start to recognize the pattern and go, "Oh, I'm craving novelty. Okay, let me just ask for that, right? Like, let me ask for a surprise or let me surprise my partner to give them that spice and then say, okay, so I really love that you just enjoyed that, like, right? Like, offering first, not asking all the time, offering this, and then saying, "Would you mind doing that for me? Would you mind giving me some novelty? Because you know what? Like, it's not that I don't love you, it's that all humans need this. It's spiciness."
I love it. I love that invitation too to do it and to ask for what we need and to just, yes, normalize that need and bring it into the conversation.
Mhm. Okay. So what's number 2? All right, my love. Let's pause. Are you feeling disconnected from your body, stuck in frustration, or wondering, why am I not having the sex I want to be having? You are not broken, and you are definitely not alone. Let me introduce you to Wild, Worthy, and Orgasmic 12 weeks to total sexual freedom. This is my signature coaching program designed to help you reclaim your pleasure, confidence, and full sexual power so you can go from to multi orgasmic goddess energy. We'll go deep using somatic healing, tantric techniques, and neuroscience backed coaching to break through old blocks, heal shame, and awaken the you who is magnetic, radiant, and deeply turned on by life. By the end, you'll be walking through life lit up from within, trusting your body, owning your desires, and creating the kind of sex life that makes your past self go, wait, that's possible? It all starts with a no pressure, free connection call to see if we vibe. Book yours now at krishall.ca/coaching because you deserve pleasure, passion, and an orgasmic life.
Yes. So this is such a good segue to number 2 because number 2 is sovereignty. And sovereignty is such a big one for me in my journey of relating because I came from feeling deeply incomplete and not feeling whole. And so sovereignty is wholeness. For those of you listening who might be like, what does that word mean? I hear it. What is sovereignty? And it means coming back into your own energy. Because it's easy to get wrapped up in our partner's energy. And if you're listening and you notice yourself like, "Ooh, they're in a bad mood," and all of a sudden I'm taking on a bad mood. Or, "Ooh, they wake up and they go straight to work," and I notice, like, I'm not easing into my practices in the way that I desire. And so how do you come into your own sovereign expression, and how do you maintain your energy by also taking space to disconnect in the partnership? And I feel, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, Kris, I feel that oftentimes many folks in relationship, in my work, they have a hard time disconnecting because of fear of, does that mean that we're not connected anymore if I take space, if I go leave and do my own thing, go spend even more time with my friends, say, hey partner, I actually don't want to watch a movie, I'm going to go journal by myself, because they fear this disconnection. But really it's through the disconnection, when we take space, then it allows both parties to reconnect again.
Yeah, and I think the real like, what comes to mind is interdependent versus codependent, right? And that very subtle difference that I think a lot of people are coming to, but it's just touching the surface for people. So, like, we talk about codependency a lot, right? It's around us all the time. We see it portrayed for us so beautifully in so many movies. Oh my god, it's all over the media, like, just plastered in front of our faces. We basically grew up on movies of codependent relationships, which is insane. And then there's the idea of interdependency where, like, because I feel like people sway one way or the other, right? It's also kind of matching those attachment styles, right? Anxious attachments wanting a more codependent relationship, and avoidant attachments wanting that, like, kind of separation between you. But there's a way to balance that out where you get to connect, you get to rely on one another, have a interdependent relationship that doesn't actually cause either, like, side of that extreme pole, right? Like, I'm a big, big fan of life is not black or white, it's always gray. And this is the greatest, that interdependence where you rely on one another, but you're not like you need them all the time for everything.
Yes, this is, you hit it. And it's funny because yes, working with codependency and then the highest frequency of, well, for me, it's sacrifice. It's in my gene keys. It's something I'm so passionate about. And this is it. It's conditioned in us from, like you said, the movies, these examples, this codependency and the sovereignty to really have passion that lasts in relationship, deep intimacy that lasts. Both parties have to come back to their sovereignty. And that can even be something like, wow, you said that and that partner, and that doesn't resonate with me, actually. Like, I believe this. And you can be sensitive on how you speak your voice, but it's coming to like, what is theirs, what is mine? What do I believe? And coming back to, how am I feeling? Oh, this is their vision for the relationship. What is mine? And allowing both parties to bring their vision, their perspective, their experience of life to the relationship is going to deepen the intimacy. And it's even through the sovereignties, even through conflict, right? Initiating conflict. Ooh, it hurts me when you say you'll do something and you don't follow through on it. And that's me standing in my sovereignty. This is what I desire, partner. I desire, if you say something, to follow through, or at least to communicate with me about it so I can trust your communication, because it makes me not trust you. And so
Yeah.
it's coming to that expression and honoring it.
Mhm. Yeah, that standing in your power, that yeah, I like the way you said it, like, they leave and all of a sudden, like, you need to experience that separateness. And I know that, people have started saying that space is the new love language, but again, like, not too much space, but that space makes the heart grow fonder, and all of a sudden you're settling into your own vibe, your own emotions, your own decisions, and, like, there is almost no greater skill in my mind than being able to, like, take a pause, like maybe even close your eyes and just kind of stand there and let your own decision hit you, right? If you can do that, oh my God, you're going to live so authentically to your own desires. You're going to live such an amazing life because you get to choose based on what's so real for you because you've kind of gotten clarity and been able to, yeah, just listen internally for what's right for you.
I love that. Yes, 100%. That deepens our fulfillment in a relationship. And even when you said close your eyes, it made me think of this example of to fuel even the passion, right? That sovereignty of if we're eye gazing, I'm going to let myself close and disconnect and still be connected to you. You can witness me. We can still be connected through this quote unquote disconnection of taking space, of being in the sovereignty. And that's going to fuel the flames of desire. That's where the passion piece comes in, is through the sovereign expression, through two independent beings. Ooh, I'm feeling like I want to crawl my hands along your shoulder blades and give you a sly kiss because it turns me on because I'm feeling excited before I gauge how you're feeling. And that's my sovereign expression. And it's going to help so much with the passion when we can really take that space to allow ourselves to express as we desire, allow ourselves to be, and literally take physical and mental space from our partners as well, so that then we can come back and reignite the connection.
Totally. Yeah. And like think about it. Who doesn't love their partner taking a stand and going, "I want this." Right? And asking like, "Do you like are you happy with me?" Or there's consent after that. But yeah, just like that like energy where they're standing in their power and they're just they just know who they are and what they want. That's fucking sexy.
It's so sexy.
Okay. So, any last thoughts on sovereignty before we move to number 3?
I'm thinking if anything else comes in to make it tangible for people listening. A practice that I like to do to check in if you're needing to come back to your sovereignty is to make sure once a week, I say twice a week, that you are taking space from your partner, going to walk in nature, go do yoga, journal, that you're taking space to be with yourself and that you're taking space to reflect on what's happening in the relationship and how you're feeling. Yeah, so this way it's like, okay, this situation happened. This conflict happened. What do I make it mean? You know? Or do I have closure around it? How am I feeling around it? Do I need to communicate something around it? To coming back to your center so then you can reconnect and work through it if there is a challenge that's present.
Mhm. Mhm. No, I love that. And just the again, what came to my mind was when you saying like reflect and like figuring out what these stories mean to you. I want to offer listeners the most beautiful phrase that I know in this area, which is the story I'm telling myself is. And then you fill that sentence, right? Because it truly is a story, right? Like, it takes blame away from anybody. It's not your fault, it's not their fault. It's what story are you creating here? And, oh my god, used in the right contexts, sometimes all the time, this is so fucking powerful. It diffuses so many of the emotions, it distills it down to something, and then you can go, "Oh, okay, well, that's just a story, and I don't have to follow that." So, I
Mhm.
wanted to offer that.
And I love that what you're offering because you're also digging into communication, Chris, which is this is healthy communication. It's I had to say this to a lover recently, or I'm like, wow, when we're long distance, we're both travelers and open, and it's like when I don't hear back from you within 2 days, yeah, the story I'm telling myself is you don't respect me. And that's a trigger for me because that reminds me of my childhood where I didn't feel respected. Respect is my biggest trigger in partnership. And it's like when we can really be real and vulnerable and share the story. I'm not making you wrong, but I'm telling you how I'm interpreting it. How can you not melt someone's heart? And that's then speaking to someone's heart.
Right? It's like you and like I love that you got it all the way to the true root, right? It's not the story I'm telling myself is that they're not respecting me. It's the story I'm telling myself is that I feel disrespected. Even if that isn't true, it's like there's still so much ownership in that. And again, like along the lines of communication, like taking that ownership using I statements. Like I really loved the other day, I had something really vulnerable to share with my partner, and I was like, okay, this could go really badly, right? This could sound really accusatory against like something that's his big dream that I'm like, okay, I know that I'm interjecting my feelings here. And I said like, okay, can I say something? And he was like, is it all about how you feel? Right? Like, is it not accusatory? Is it about how you feel? And I was like, yes, it totally is. And so, like, using I statements, using like, this is how I feel. This is how I'm showing up in this moment. This is what's happening for me. And so he's able to see that. There's no accusing. Like, that could, honestly, what I had to say could have turned into a massive fight in another situation. But instead, it was just, oh, okay, let me see you in that. And at the end, like, do you feel seen and heard? Like, yes, I do. Thank you.
Oh, wait, good communicate. Wow, I love what I'm hearing. It sounds like you practice amazing communication. Obviously, you do this work, so makes sense. But yes, I love that. The I statements
Mhm.
and the checking in with each other.
Yes. Yes, it is communication is sexy. Communication's so sexy. I think I I don't think it's one of yours, but maybe it's like the 5th extra that we're, like, pulling out right now is communication. Communication's so sexy.
Oh, baby, I've studied it for the past 15 years. I studied it in college. I love it. We're on the same page. We are both communication nerds.
Definitely, because I don't think you can be a relationship nerd without being a communication nerd. Like, they truly go hand in hand. Like, consent is communication, and desires is all about how you communicate them. And so, yeah, creating passion and really exploring that polarity and allowing that polarity to express itself all comes from that initial communication.
I love that. That's so beautifully said.
All right. So, what about number 3? What's number 3? All right, lovers. This one is for the couples. If your relationship is good, but you know it could be amazing, or you're navigating tough stuff and need tools that actually work, then let me introduce you to Love That Lasts, the ultimate relationship upgrade. This is my 10-week in person program in Vancouver coming fall 2025. And it's unlike anything else out there. We use powerful, proven tools from one of my favorite relationship books of all time, Getting the Love You Want, along with embodiment games and connection practices to help you and your love go deeper than ever before. Together, you'll build a strong foundation and create new ways of relating and communicating. Plus, you won't be doing it alone. We're building a community of couples who get it. You will leave this program with community support, accountability, and deep new friendships that last long after the program ends. Space is limited, so if you're ready to make your relationship your greatest superpower, visit krishall.ca/love that lasts to apply now.
So number then these are building so well off of each other. I love when conversations flow like this so beautifully, so seamlessly. And the third pillar is heart-led action, which we started talking about with the communication piece. And it's speaking from the heart because if we want to deepen intimacy, yeah, in our partnerships, and if passion, where there's mutual desire, then it requires a level of vulnerability. It requires both parties to express from their heart, like, ooh, when you say, when we are out in public and you don't make eye contact with me, partner, but you make eye contact with everyone else in the group that we're talking to, it hurts me because it makes me feel like I'm not important to you or like you're embarrassed of me or you're not proud of me. And I want to feel like the queen, goddess, whatever witch that I am. Yeah. And so I'd appreciate like when we're out in public, look at me here and there. Make eye contact. I've been looking at you from across the room. And that's vulnerable.
Mm.
You know, it's vulnerable to say it makes me feel like you're embarrassing me or you don't value me or whatever your truth is in a given moment. for those of you listening, I encourage you to really try to come back to the heart, because when we point judgments, which you had spoken about also earlier, Kris, it causes people's hearts to close. You didn't make eye contact with me. You're not looking at me. Why don't you care about me? Why are you a bad partner? Why were you just looking at her the whole time? It's not impactful. It's not inviting in more depth into this topic, and it's not inviting your partner to share more of their inner experience with you. And so instead, it's sharing from your heart, or it's approaching it with curiosity, where it's like, "Hey, babe, I noticed I was looking at you, trying to make eyes with you from across the way at that party, and I noticed that you were wrapped up in a conversation with Jana and John. Like, how come you didn't look my way? What's up with that?" Pause. Let them insert. What's their truth? "Oh, babe, wow, I'm so sorry. I didn't even see that. I was enthralled in conversation." Or maybe it's like, "Yeah, I saw you looking at me, but we spend so much time together. I wanted to have a chat with them." And then it's like, "Okay, I feel in what feels true for me. Well, sorry, babe. I couldn't help but stare at your beautiful face that I really wanted to look you in the eyes to give me a boost of energy." Very a little play, right? But it's speaking from the heart, and that's subtle. That's why I love the humor piece and the play. That's subtle, but it's pointed. It's saying, I wanted to look you in the eyes. It makes me feel good to look you in the eyes. And so it's through this piece that we're able to feel each other's hearts more and open slowly and slowly into more depth of connection.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing there is really like that curiosity instead of judgment. And I know that we both like absolutely swear by curiosity, right? Like, and we all kind of like the thoughts format first as judgment, and then we can take a step back and go, okay, wait, instead of like, yeah, why weren't you looking at me? Or like an accusation or a judgment of like, oh, I don't think you care about me tonight because you weren't looking at me. Instead, it's like, what was on your mind? I'm curious what was on your mind. And I'm curious how we can connect more at parties. I'm curious how we can establish that connection. Cause like for me, one of the things that I've noticed is one of my values, one of the things I need most from a partner is to feel special. And that may be, you know what? I'm trying not to judge it. I'm just like, okay, that's something that's come up a lot of times. I like to feel special, which means, but it's how can I be shown that I'm special? Oh, we're, in a room and we're both having separate conversations, but we're holding each other's hands behind our backs, you know? Like, or, the person just looks at you and gives you that wink and you're like, oh, okay. And then you're infused with that specialness for the next, like, 20 minutes. Or, yeah, like, you notice those little things, like, they go and grab you a drink, give you a new drink at a party without speaking, they don't have to do anything, they just touch your lower back and keep moving, and you just go, "Oh, yes, they see me, and I'm here with them, and right? And so it's like so I don't know, I just went on a whole tangent about that from curiosity and judgment, but
I love that tangent. I love that tangent because this also brings up another helpful tool for the folks listening around this importance of naming your desires, being tangible. Like what I'm hearing too from you, Chris, is it's also like reigniting that connection, like having them make eyes, having them partner, touch your lower back, give you a drink. It's doing things that show you you're special, and like continuing to find ways to reconnect. Even if you're at a party and you're both doing your own thing. And that's so important because that mirrors the our romantic relationships mirror parent-child dynamics, which is, I'm sure I see you smiling, would love to see this. And so it's like, now they say, right, a kid comes to the parent, and then they come to their secure base, and then they go out and they explore the world, and then they come back. And in a healthy dynamic, a healthy relationship that's truly fulfilling and secure, it's this dynamic of we come back to each other, and then we go explore the world and connect with people, and then we make eye contact and we find ways to keep reigniting that connection throughout the evening, throughout our lives.
yes, that's so, like, when you talk about, like, heart-centered communication, heart-centered like, speaking from the heart, what are your top tips here? Like, how can you notice when it's not happening, and how can you encourage it to be happening?
Ooh, that's such a good question. when it's not happening. I'm like, I love this question. Wow. I'm racking my brain to formulate my thoughts here, my words. For me, when it's not happening, I am judging the other. I'm not being vulnerable. It doesn't feel scary. I feel hard connection, vulnerability. It feels scary. It's touching a wound. It's like me having to name an insecurity and a wound and speaking from the how I'm feeling, what it's activating in me, what it's bringing me back to a space in childhood, an earlier experience, the story, like you said, that story I'm making it mean. These are all connecting to vulnerability and connecting to heart, to self, versus when it's projecting. I'm telling you who you are. I'm telling you how you're being. It's one thing to say, it hurts my feelings when I greet you and I feel like you don't make eye contact with me or you give me a harsh tone. And that's different than saying, oh, it bothers me that you're in a piss mood tonight. It's a different energy. It's naming I like to name the actions. It helps so that we're not judging and we're speaking from truth. So, oh, it hurt me when you came home and you didn't make eye contact with me. You usually do, or you give me a hug. Hello, how are you feeling? If you want to talk about something, I'm here. And if you don't, I'm still here when you're ready.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. And so is there a good way to like, if somebody notices that their partner isn't really engaging in this, like, is bringing out judgments instead of curiosities, like, how would you ask them? What kind of framework, what questions would you give them to ask their partner, like, "Hey, maybe don't do that."
Okay, okay. Ooh, this is good. This is hot. This is stretching. Yeah, we're stretching this one. Let me give an example. I have to feel into an example. What if I'm having a conversation with my partner? Okay, this is why I love the play piece. So if I'm talking to my partner and they're like, "Oh, Nicola, like I hate when you speak like this. I hate when you say these things. It's so annoying when you talk in that voice. Like why do you always have to get on my ass about X, Y, and Z?" Okay. Now, how do I communicate I don't like that? For me, I know there's not always there's a time and place for humor and play. Okay. Sometimes it has to be serious. Sometimes it's just like, ooh, babe, like that's hurtful when you speak to me that way. Like that makes my heart close. It doesn't make me feel connected to you. And I'd rather like a little more sensitivity. So if something bothers you, tell me like, ooh, Nicola, when you speak in that tone, I feel loss of desire. I feel turned off. Yeah, because then I can actually work with that. Then I can actually fix the behavior. Oh, Nicola, when you tell me if think about things I need to do, it makes me feel like you're mothering me. And it bothers me because it reminds me of my own mother and it makes me want nothing to do with you. Yeah. And that's like, see, right? It's vulnerable, but it's like that's speaking from the heart because then I can feel it. Oh, shit. I get it. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, and I get how I'm probably desexualizing myself. So, oh, damn, Nicola, I better fix that pattern. Right? Like, it's like I had a moment with a lover of mine when I was living in Mazunte, Mexico, and I got really jealous. We're at a party, and he's talking to a woman, and he is like super handsome, super sexy. This woman is like drooling, and I lost my shit. And now I teach how do we alchemize our emotions and use it in playful ways. I couldn't in this time, Kris. I was like, I came up and I was like, you're not paying attention to me. Like, I was so annoying. I ruined his night and mine. And the next day we had a conversation about it. And he said, look, it reminds me of my mother when you're jealous. Like, it makes me feel like I'm boxed in and I wanted nothing to do with you. I was turned off and I understood. And even though it was hard to hear, I understood. And that's real. Like, then we're getting to the depth of unpacking what's happening in this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can create the safety to be able to say the real things, like, "This is really what's going on," like, even at the risk of it might hurt you, but, like, it will get to the point so much faster, like, saying, "I'm literally turned off by you in this moment," like, that's a really hard thing to say and to hear, but, oh my gosh, if it's, like, very, very true, it'll just smash down like endless amounts of like vagueness, right? Like it just gets straight to the heart of the matter. And there's no denying it. And it's, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna not do that anymore.
Yes. Yes, I love it. And to that, adding to that, too, you're right, Chris, like, it is hard to receive that, and so it's also, like, sensitivity and how we say it, and but babe, I really care about you, and I wanna work through it, so here I am sharing it. Like, what's the why? Why does it matter? Why are you sharing it? What does the other person need to hear so that you can repair a situation?
Mhm, mhm. Something that's coming up for me is the idea, and this may go down another rabbit hole, so I'm just gonna leave it at, like, surface level, but that there's this idea that was coined kind of in this book called Getting the Love You Want by Stan Tatkin, and I'm sure you read it as well. Um, and it basically talks about the fact that each human being basically has like 3 or 4 major things that really bother them, right? And so that could be like, "Oh, yeah, I feel abandoned." I get abandonment issues very easily when stuff happens, right? That could be that, you really need to feel special, right? That's probably one of mine, to be honest. It could be like it's like any one of those things, but you distill it down to like its base thing. Like, I need well, all of us need safety, but like maybe like unconditional love is like super, super, super important because he didn't receive it as a child. And so we all can distill down to like these 4 key parts. And and again, it's not like exact for everyone, but it's so interesting to start to try to pick up on those things, both for you and your partner. Like, what are mine? What are deep down? What are all my triggers about? And then what are all my partner's triggers about? And then you can start to be like, oh, I can speak directly to that trigger, right? Like, oh, I see them having this issue. Like, don't worry, babe, I'm not going to leave you. And that's all they needed to hear, and it just sends them into such comfort, and it's like you can cut through arguments and misunderstandings and moments of, like, losing faith just by being like, "I know, I could ooh, I recognize that, I can see that. Deep down, that's your fear of abandonment. I'm not gonna leave you."
I love that so much. Wow, it's been a long time since I've read the book. I love the book, but mine would be I just need someone to be like, "Babe, I admire and respect you so much. Don't worry."
Right? And the daughter's like, somebody coming with that versus being like, "Oh, babe, you're so beautiful." And it's like, "Okay, but I don't need to hear that I'm beautiful. I know I'm beautiful. I need to hear that you respect me. That's what's really my trigger, right?"
That's my
Like,
trigger, baby. Yeah. Wow. It's such a good it's such a good insight for all of us, this reminder of, like, looking in to see where does it all lead to? All roads point to what?
yeah, right? And like writing down a list of like, these are all the things that triggered them in the last month. Let's write down what they were and let's try to distill them. And all of a sudden you see a pattern and it's like, oh, there's only 3 main things. Each time it's one of these 3 things that's really bothering them. Huh. I wonder if I can just get some key phrases that I can say to them
Right.
each time they get triggered, and all of a sudden you have less arguments.
Yes. Yes. Everyone write that down. That is such I love this. What are some phrases that align to
Mhm.
that? I respect you. I love you. You're so special to me.
Yeah, my partner's definitely learning that I'm so special one because he just like he will whisper it and like pet my hair sometimes. And I'll be like, thank you. Just like curl up in a ball, like, yes, thank you. Okay, so speaking from the heart-centered communication. And what is number 4 for passion and polarity?
Oh, number 4. This one is a curveball. We saved number 4 for last because I love this one so much. And this is all around, I believe, both parties need to be able to use both their masculine and feminine energies within the relationship. And why do I say that? Because so if you don't know me and my work well and you're listening, I don't stand by traditional gender roles, nor masculine, feminine roles. I believe we all have both. And I know, Chris, I see you nodding, and you know this too. We all have both. And so both parties need to be able to use both. Now, why? Both parties need to be able to lead the direction of the relationship and the intimacy. Both parties need to voice what it is they desire. Both parties need to voice their vision. So if one party is more in the fem, like I used to be in this people pleaser, I'm going to wait for you, partner, to lead the direction of the relationship. I don't care. What do you want? I'm not going to fully voice what it is I desire, or maybe in bed, if you're not fully voicing what it is you want, or hey, ooh, can we try this position? Or I want to try this, or maybe you can try this stroke instead, right? Using your masculine, using your voice to assert your desire is going to be really important for the intimacy and to keep the passion alive. Now, it's also important because passion dies when one person's always in the masculine and one person's always in the feminine, because then it creates a hierarchy, an imbalance of power dynamics. And so the person in the masculine doesn't feel the other partner's desire for them, which everyone wants to feel desired. Everyone wants to feel ravished no matter who you are. Yeah. And the person in the feminine, probably you will feel, not probably, if you're stuck in the feminine the entire time, you're going to feel resentful because you're not fully bringing yourself to the relationship. You're not fully asking for what you want and expressing yourself. So there's going to be a lot of needs that are unmet. So to truly have intimacy, both parties need to be able to use on the masculine side, naming the desires, also naming your boundaries, right? Expressing what you want, expressing what feels good, leading the relationship. We talk about the leading and following, those polarities. And then both parties also need to be able to be in the receivership, to be able to surrender, to be able to ask questions, to be curious, to go inwards.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I'm thinking about two things. One is the wheel of consent, where there's like the giving and receiving, like polarities and ways of being in that. And the other is around, you know what? It slipped my mind. So I'm just gonna go back to the wheel of consent. So wheel of consent is, like how, like what do you desire, and let me give it to you. What do I desire to do to you? What do you desire to do to me? And what do you want me to do to you? Right? Or, yeah.
Yes.
Right? And like playing with, and all those things have to be present in a relationship. Right? And like, yeah, you definitely can't have one person taking over everything. And I also, this is the point that also came to mind, is that people apparently tend to attract one another when they're like the part of their masculine or feminine energy that needs more, like that has strength and doesn't have strength. So we all have a dominant and a like not dominant um polarity, right? Like I've got more feminine energy and then less masculine energy, and they have that kind of balance. And then your partner also has those two. And people tend to attract somebody who has the equal and opposite, right? And then also, if you attract somebody that like you need to work on your dominant energy, that tends to happen. And also that you tend to need to work on your, less dominant energy. So like me and my partner, for example, I have a really strong masculine, he is a really strong feminine, but both of us really need to work on our like dominant, like me is feminine, him is masculine. And so we can see that when we come together, that like, oh, this is our beautiful chance to work on that together.
Yes. I love that. And I also I will relate this to the bedroom. So my work, I have a strong masculine. I have both, yeah, but I have a strong masculine. I'm here to really work on my masculine in this lifetime. So I prefer more feminine men. I like men that are connected to their hearts, that are sensitive, that it's emotional. That's, important because those kinds of men will value me. And so how do I incite in my masculine counterpart if I want to feel his ravishment? Because usually a more feminine man may not be as primal and express that primal hunger. So here's where my masculine comes in. Through my art of seduction, through my dark feminine, how do I seduce in him his primal so then I can sink back into my feminine? And this is such a key piece for the desire, for the passion. So how do and whatever your flavor is, ooh, come over here, babe. I want you to watch me dance for you, right? Finding ways to slowly fan his flames of desire to then have him rise into that masculine, the kind of masculine that I'm wanting in a moment. So then I can say, and this, and we both play with this energy in both parts of the relationship, the bedroom, the intimacy, the conversation, all of it.
Oh, yes, Nicola, that's so juicy. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is a question directly from my girlfriend of so what do you do when let's just put it in the heterosexual masculine feminine relationship for a second. Like you're a woman who's dominantly feminine, you have a partner who's dominantly masculine, and they are not rising to their masculine. What do you do? How do you pull out their masculine so that you can sink in and surrender to your feminine?
Ooh, this is good. So is the partner in a you said diamond and masculine. Is the partner in a like wounded like a more heavy masculine energy or more femme? And they want to like
He's in a feminine energy.
yeah, he's more femme.
And then
Yeah, yeah.
he's able to go into the masculine, but he's a little more in his feminine, just like a little bit too much of the time.
This is a great question. So in this instance, yeah, it's going to actually be, it sounds counterintuitive, but she's going to have to actually step into her masculine, which is, she can think of it as her dark feminine, because the dark feminine is primal. The primal is the masculine energy. And so for her to be able to entice that, let's say it's in the bedroom, yeah, then it can be something like, mm, babe, what do you want to do to me tonight? Yeah. How do you want to touch me? What do you want me to do for you? How do you want me to touch you? Now, through these questions, what it's doing is it is inviting him to express more of his self as a sexual being. Now, the more that she engages him in this way, the more it's going to incite his primal. And over time, it's going to wire in his masculine. Now, non sexual example. Maybe I always plan the dates for my partner. Maybe I want to see my partner take leadership of planning for the relationship. Okay, babe. I know you got some amazing ideas up in that head of yours. So instead, why don't you take the leadership and plan this Saturday so I can be in my pretty little self and then I can be surprised at night? Yeah, so I meet you at 7. Don't tell me anything. I see you there. Tell me where to show up and I be there.
Mm.
And so it's finding ways to, I'm going to pass you the ball without saying, you never plan anything. Why can't you plan anything, or being resentful, or I'm going to go in my wounded, you know, feminine. I'm going to be hyper independent. I'm just going to do it. No, no, no. I'm going to invite you to do it and empower you because I know you got some amazing ideas. So then I can relax.
Yes, yes, I love this. Okay. I love that, like, calling them into it, like, inviting them into that power and making sure that there's no criticism, making sure that you're not, because putting them down is never going to work. Oh my goodness. Do we feel like showing up in our power when somebody puts us down? No. Oh my god, if somebody says, "Oh, I hate it when you do this," I'm like, "Well, now I just feel shitty about that." Like, I'm not thinking about my power. I'm not thinking about bringing you pleasure. I'm just thinking about,
Mm.
like, how dare you? No.
Now it's like, you are never going to get this again. So aren't my words, right?
Yeah, no, I love this. Like, inviting them and really, really just empowering both people to be like, it would be really sexy if we did this. I would love for you to do this for me." Yeah. Mhm. Let me just marinate on that for a second. What do you wish people really understood deeply about, I guess I wanna throw it now to, like, all of them kinda mixing together. Like, what are some of the greatest lessons from the novelty and the sovereignty and speaking from the heart and masculine and feminine, like, letting everything out? Like, what yeah, what is the most important part of putting all these things together?
Yes, to just bridge them all for everyone listening, because we covered so much. So it's so nice. Always just bring it to a close. Like, how do we understand everything? the 4 pieces to just make sure you're hitting these, to think about how are you bringing in, starting with novelty, how are you bringing in fun? How are you bringing in play? How are you showing up in different ways than you usually do? How are you bringing the element of surprise into your relationship? Are you taking space? Then, number 2, yeah, sovereignty. Are you expressing yourself in a relationship? And if you're not, checking in, whatever you need to do, give myself affirmations. It is okay for me to voice my truth. My partner cares to hear what I have to say. It's important that I say what I have to say because I deeply desire to be fulfilled in my relationship. So it's affirmations, taking space. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go do yoga. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to allow myself to disconnect from you, partner, and reconnect because I know that's important for the relationship, even though it's hard. Number 3, heart-led action. I am going to speak from my heart when things come up and not point fingers or blame or judge. I'm going to tell you how I'm feeling, how it's impacting me, the story I'm making it mean, why it's important that we shift the dynamic so that I'm speaking to you heart to heart, human to human being, not mind to mind, because that's not how we move people. That's not how we impact people. And then the 4th one being both parties using their masculine and feminine energies. Now, here's the thing. If you're listening and you're like, well, my partner's not listening and they're just stuck in one energy, if just one person knows how to access both, then like I gave that example of inciting desire in your partner, you know how to pull the other energy out of your partner. And so the more that you practice and check in, am I using my this is like a whole nother episode in itself. It's like, am I using my masculine? Am I making decisions? Am I expressing my desires? Am I speaking my boundaries? Am I leading the relationship? Am I also receiving? Am I also allowing myself to go inwards, to reflect? Am I asking questions and being curious? And it's this balance of both of these energies. And if you go through those, even just going through those like 7 questions, it's going to help you, if you're listening, have a sense of where you can hone or where you can work on to bring more of the other energy in so there feels more balance in the partnership.
Yeah, because I mean, nobody wants to feel like they're pulling the partnership on their own shoulders. That's exhausting. You wanna feel like you're both in this together, and yeah, that's not sexy. That's not creating passion. Like,
Mm.
oh my goodness, and I do actually so another thing that just came to mind, um, there was this beautiful sentiment, and I believe it was in Wired for Love as well, um, that, love happens up close. And so the way to continuously connect, right? The way to incite passion is quite literally just through eye contact, close up eye contact, because the eyes are one of the things that never change, right? That's the same eyes that you'll be staring at in 50 years' time if that's what your relationship looks like together. And just that idea that, like, reattuning to people, because like, there's the taking space, and then there's actually an art to reattuning and to being able to, "Okay, so when we come home, we're always going to find one another, tune back in, and say, 'Okay, now we've got each other. Now we're firing all the same cylinders. Now we can talk about stuff.'"
Oh, I love that. The windows to the soul, the eyes, so beautiful and so true.
Yeah. All right, so as we come to a close, is there any last thoughts you wanna leave our listeners with?
I love this topic so much. If you have any questions on this topic, shoot me a message, shoot me a DM. I'd love to chat all things intimacy, all things passion, all things polarity. And we came here to live. Yeah, we came here to live. So don't leave anything on the table. Don't have any regrets. Everyone needs your expression in of who you are in the world. Everyone needs your uniqueness. Your partner needs your uniqueness. You add so much value to your relationship and to all the people that you touch. And let that be a guiding light to inspire you. If you are not in your fullest expression, we all have so much more that we can go, so many layers of the onion to peel to really continue to allow ourselves to show ourselves to another. So keep it up. This is the work.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you. And if people wanted to find you, work with you, anything you'd like to share right now about what you're offering?
Thank you so much for asking, Kris. And yeah, everyone, Instagram's the best way to find me. So at Nicola Navon, you can find me there. My website's linked in my bio. And I do one-on-one work with individuals, women, men, and couples. And then I also have some amazing group programs starting soon. So I'm very, very excited. More to come. It's not official yet, so stay tuned. I like a little mystery. I got a kink for the surprise.
All right. Well, thank you so, so much for sharing your insights and your energy and all those spicy, spicy tips. It's been a joy having you on today. Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Kris.
Thanks for tuning in to I'll Have What She's Having. If you love this episode, do not keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, leave a review, or shout it from the rooftops, preferably mid-orgasm. If you want to go deeper, join me at krishall.ca for group programs, private coaching, and more pleasure-packed resources. And remember, your pleasure is your power. So go out there and flirt with life itself.